So it's time for me to hand over to Harry for tonight's workshop presentation. Harry.
Thank you very much, Chris, and thank you for agreeing to be the host today. You make it look very easy and welcoming to be on the call. And I'm very happy to be uh, a collaborator with Jim Arnoff on this call today. And we have known Jim for a long time. He has been a presenter at the live in-person gay coaches conferences at Easton Mountain several times. And I'm not going to tell you a lot about him, but he's very uh, funny, very humorous, and he's also, like most New Yorkers, very down to earth. And he knows what he's doing in this workshop presentation world. So please pay attention to what he says and take notes, and we'll have time for some questions and answers. And first thing I would like Jim to do is tell us a little bit about where he's from and how he got into the coaching business. So could we start off with that, Jim?
Hey.
All right, take two. I
Oh,
grew up in Westchester County, just north of New York City, about 22 miles. And New York City has always been my home. I got into coaching through my volunteer life. I am a peer counselor and peer group facilitator at a nonprofit here in New York called Identity House that's been around since 1971. And it's the peer model for the LGBT community where the facilitators and the counselors are peers and we're supervised by therapists. And I joined Identity House in 1991. And a lot of us volunteers go on to become therapists. I said, okay, I guess that's what I'm meant to do. So I got into Fordham School of Social Work, went to one day of classes and quit. I couldn't, it's not that it was Fordham, it could have been any social work school. I felt depressed. I hated the energy. I went to the bookstore after the classes and illegally opened some of the textbooks. And I'm doing my best to understand anything, didn't understand a thing. So I said, I'm out of here. I gave all my financial aid back. And literally 2 weeks later, after I ran out of that building, I went to the Gay and Lesbian Center and picked up a flyer called for a workshop called Getting Unstuck, presented by a life coach. And this was 2004. And I love the words life coach together, just like years before, I saw a brochure that said peer counselor. So I went to this workshop, I'm watching this guy do his coaching, and I went, that's what I want to be doing. I knew it in that moment. And a month later, I'm in a 12-step meeting, and one of the guys shared about being a life coach. So of course, I went up to him afterwards. I said, "You're a life coach?" He says, "Oh my God, I'm being trained. It's transformational. They play salsa music during the breaks." I said, "Well, who does this?" Here comes my plug. IPEC Coaching. So based on his recommendation, I signed up probably, if not that night, the day after, didn't look up any other school, went through my certification for 9 months and realized that, well, wait a minute, I've got 3 other careers. I, I can keep adding on. So I actually added on coaching to my 3 other careers. And you may be asking, well, okay, Jim, what are the 3 other careers?
what are they?
Okay, thank you for that, Harry. So my background is a talent agent representing TV production companies, putting together all the elements of a TV series, concept, production company, talent, and pitching the networks in New York and LA. So I no longer do what I call the frontline pitching. I say, well, wait a minute, I've got value here. Why don't I call myself a talent agent consultant and charge per session? So I'm a talent agent consultant, and I work with creatives in the entertainment field on their pitches, helping them navigate the entertainment world, and I get paid per session. Love it. That's career number 2 after being a certified career life and business coach. My third career, although I don't look like one, although it makes sense because I'm in my industry, which is entertainment, I'm an entertainment lawyer. And I actually don't do all the law by myself. I partner with another lawyer. He does all the work. Well, not all of it, most of it. And we split the legal fee. Makes me very happy. And my fourth career is I'm an adjunct faculty member of School of Visual Arts here in New York City. And my course, no surprise, based on my experience in entertainment, is called Pitching Your TV Series to the Industry Experts. So I bring in executives, production companies from the biz, which is a great way to network, by the way. If you teach and you bring in guest speakers, they rarely say no. I meet people I would never meet before, and my students actually get to pitch their TV series in the classroom to the guest speakers. So those are, Harry, that's how I got into coaching, and those are my four careers.
Well, I don't know what the rest of the guys are feeling, but this is really dazzling to the way you have set this up. So, and it is, first of all, I have to remark on the theatricality of your backdrop. You look like you're somebody in New York with the red.
Yeah, these are towels hiding all the pictures of my men up on the wall. That's exactly what it is.
It looks beautiful, and it's a rich royal color. And before I ask you about those four careers, and I know my friend Tim Kincaid, who is on the call, as far as I know, invented the phrase encore career. And that's what the way he used to call this, what we do when we change. But you not only changed, but you added on, I think is really interesting. But I want to get to something, if you don't mind, that's spiritual. And it's about this way God or whatever showed you the way, and you acted very quickly. You didn't hesitate. You left Fordham. You heard IPEC and you went. How do you account for that?
Well, one of my isms is to say yes to almost everything. And that's worked really well for me. There's certain things where if my stomach is in a knot, it's like, don't go there. Everything else is, do it, show up, say yes. Now, before I make these decisions, I'm talking to lots of different people. So it's not like, in the moment, but I love to get feedback from others. I also think, and I'm most creative when I'm talking out loud. So I need that interchange with others to make those decisions. And I'm a pretty fast decision maker. Actually, I'm pretty fast in everything in my life, which is another reason why I love coaching. It's all about accelerating. And I love the pace of coaching, and my workshops, shocking, are highly interactive, very fast paced, lots of comedy, no surprise, Harry. So I know it. It's about self-trusting, and I coach a lot of my clients and how to self-trust. And if it feels right on so many levels, or it feels wrong on so many levels, and I like to make decisions. I don't like to string things out. I often did that growing up, and it didn't work for me.
Okay. And one thing you did mention something about your service to the gay community. And I know that you used to belong to an organization of gay coaches in New York, and you did pro bono work. Does that organization still exist, and are you still doing it?
In a way, it's called the Gay Coaches Collective. In the warmer weather, a couple of us got together in Central Park. We do provide, when we can, on-site coaching for LGBT career fairs. We did it for the LGBT Center. We did it for the Bronx Borough President's Office. So when there's a need and we can do coaching, we've got 55 members, and I put the word out there. So we're limping along. We don't meet like you guys do anymore. So I'm thrilled that there's a GCA to be a part of. So we're there when there's an event that tends to rally the troops.
Okay, great. And would you like to begin the conversation about what one of the things I think you're famous for is the workshops that you do, and how you got started, and how you market it, and how you actually do it, because it's very unusual, the system you have developed for yourself.
Sure. It started, I want to say, back in 2000, right after I started teaching at School of Visual Arts. One of my fellow faculty members was an in-house director at Nickelodeon on their animated projects. And he heard about my class, he heard about the energy, and he said, Jim, Nickelodeon is looking to do some programs, workshops for their freelancers, and I want to recommend you to do it. And here you go again. I said, sure. And that was the easy one, right? So I started doing workshops for Nickelodeon. I actually modeled it on the workshops, the groups that I do for Identity House, which is a very, very simple yet very powerful format. It starts with an opening go-round. I'll get into that a little bit more, the discussion, and a closing go-round. That's it. And there's a theme. So I brought that model to Nickelodeon, and I said, and by the way, I'm not a coach yet. I'm not trained. I have no formal training around doing groups or anything. It's simply, tapping into my innate, not only abilities, but desire to bring energy to the workshop. And I said, well, okay, this is fun. Who else can I do workshops for? And that's a key to my formula. And I have 3 requirements for any workshop, and I'm not veered from it at all. First requirement, it doesn't cost me anything. Second requirement, I don't have to fill the seats. I do absolutely no marketing. And my third requirement is I don't have to prepare. All right. So what does that mean? That means I show up and I do my thing. Now, all right, Jim, what do you mean by all that? How does that work?
It's very
Well,
heretical.
Yeah, and it works brilliantly. And it's actually started from that Nickelodeon workshop I did. I said, okay, all these companies, associations, guilds, unions, they all provide programming for their members or their employees. Why not partner with them, provide programming? Well, that number one, they've got the venues. Number two, they've got, a list of their employees or members to put this out to, right? And since, I'm using my innate abilities, there's nothing to study, there's nothing to prepare. And because it's modeled on the Identity House group, which is all about interacting with the members, I knew right away that it's going to be totally interactive, and all the participants, whoever they are, I don't know who they are, they'll provide me with the material. And so bingo, it's interactive from literally moment one to the very end. So since they give me the material, I don't have to prepare. My worst, it's not a fear, I would never do it, is to do a webinar. I would go crazy. I would go, anybody there? Hello, right? So when Harry said, I'm going to interview me, I went, oh, thank God. I knew that's how I do it. In fact, I was asked to do a talk at a graduation ceremony at FIT here in New York, which is the premier fashion school. And I said, the only way I'll do it is if I'm interviewed. Well, they picked also a very funny faculty member, and we did a comedy routine for 20 minutes, and the parents went crazy. So I knew that I'm not a lecturer. I've never said yes to a lecture. In fact, I won't. It's not my style. It's not what brings me joy. So, Harry, I don't know. Did that answer your question? I'm not even sure where we were.
Yeah, we're working on it. So
okay,
you decided that you were going to base your presentation or your workshops on this model,
yes.
and that the 3 things, I hope everybody was listening, because we'll get back to that with the question period. The first time I heard that, I thought, oh, this guy's lazy, or this guy's what? And then finally it went cling, and it made sense to me that you're doing this thing called dance, which is dancing in the moment. You're bringing yourself, and you never know what's going to happen. But there's a framework, delicate but real, where you're going to bring out your best, and they're going to bring out your best, and it's a mutual thing. And everyone is going to be different. So you're prepared for that. You're, because of the way you've lived your life, that you're ready for something out of the blue. So when you made the decision that you were going to do that, how did you get a start with contacting all of these places?
It wasn't difficult. With my background as an agent, I know all of the entertainment companies. I know all the unions and guilds. I know all the associations. So, and if I didn't, I always had a advocate to get me in the door. And a lot of the workshops, as an agent, I work with the programming department. It's called program development, developing original series. And most workshops are going through HR, wellness, talent development. So I asked my programming people, hey, would you talk to X, Y, and Z? I'd love to do some workshops for Time Warner. Well, bingo. One of my contacts said, sure, let me introduce you to the wellness department. I went, the what? The wellness department. They do all kinds of things for health and wellness. I said, you bet. So I meet the wellness department lady. We're like instant best friends. And one thing I've learned about a workshop is you got to make it really easy. And I often get, so Jim, what's your fee? I'll say, what do you got? Right? I'm not going to quote a fee. And if my contact says, well, I got to speak to, no, you don't have to speak to anybody. Pro bono. Don't charge, just give me some conference rooms. Well, Time Warner, it was for their corporate division. I had these gorgeous executive conference rooms with catered lunches, right? Right. And they put the workshop out to 2,600 Time Warner employees, right? And then I just kept booking and booking and booking. And then all of a sudden, this is my style as an agent, once I'm in the door, and by the way, I get ID cards. So all of a sudden I got a vendor ID card at Time Warner, went right in, and my wellness lady was on the HR floor. So you better believe I got to know all the HR people. And after doing free workshops, one of the senior HR guys said, Jim, you've been the good soldier. This is exactly what he said. You've been doing free workshops. We owe you. Well, that led to my first executive coaching assignments that netted me. When I say netted, there's nothing to be deducted, close to $100,000, over 3 or 4 years. I was making crazy money. And in fact, when the HR guy said, so what's your normal fee? He says, Jim, way too low, go up. So I went, okay. So what I've learned is at any company, whatever it is, get in the door, right? And then you'll make of it whatever you can. You get to know new contacts. So it was very easy for me to get in everywhere. And then what happened was a lot of the participants in the workshop said, well, wait a minute, Jim, I belong to this organization or that group. Would you do a workshop for us? Okay. And then as people introduced themselves, they said, I'm a member of this, I'm a member. Oh, you're a member of what? Women in Hollywood? Oh, I like the sound of that.
Yes.
Coaching is, I don't know, 85% female in every respect. It's Hollywood. So I just did my first workshop for women in Hollywood. Okay. I didn't even know it existed.
How did it go?
Oh, it's amazing. Give me women in entertainment, creative women entertainment. I'm thrilled. It's like, I'm a happy camper. I can't, it can only go up for me. So, so use your contacts and, just build that network and have an advocate for you do the introduction. I've rarely made cold calls. And if somebody says, oh, Jim, you know what, you should call I will, but how would you be to do an email intro? Sally, meet Jim. Jim, meet Sally. Sally does this. Jim does this. You're a great fit. Take it from here. My favorite kind of intro emails. And it works every single time.
Tell us a little bit about how the topics are arrived at.
I make them up. I now have, and this is when I meet a first time organization, the only thing I do, because first of all, they've usually heard about me. I'll give my background. I'll say, you know what? I've got a list of 55 titles. Let me send you the titles. See what you like. They love that, right?
For example,
power networking, power pitching, become a master of them both. Tough talks made easy, lose the fear, gain the confidence, right? For me, I like the two-part. It's a nice, it just adds to it. And they love looking at titles. And that's it. I send them titles. I'll send them my biography. That's it. I hate paperwork. Right. Spoken like a true lawyer, right?
Yes.
I don't like paperwork. Nobody else does either. And that's part of making it easy for them to say yes. And I just keep adding titles and titles.
They choose one of your topics and they write back to you and say, we'd like this. Then what do you do?
Right. So I say, you know what, if you want to combine two of them, change them, we may jump on a phone call and they go, oh, Jim, let's go through usually they pick up 3 titles and I'll go, okay, let's, you know what? No, I don't jump on a call. I say, you know what? For your organization, for the makeup of your members, let's do this one. They go, sure. So again, very simple, very little back and forth. Really important for doing, for getting others, especially nonprofits. They've got, staff, very small staff. They have to make it easy. And now with Zoom, by the way, before COVID, I was doing about 60 workshops a year. Now I'm way over 90. I had 1 week over the summer where I did 6 workshops in a week. Okay, because Zoom is so easy. Zoom is like, okay, your link or my link. That's about it. And of course, you could have, I have many more people on the call than in person. And by the way, I create 98% of my coaching clients by the workshops. The internet, maybe 1 person a year, and referrals, I might get 4 or 5 a year.
So people hire you because they see you doing something. You're not marketing, coaching, you're doing something.
Right. And
they say, oh, I like him.
Yeah. And I always do coaching on the call, on the Zoom call. And when I started my in-person workshops, I also did in-person coaching. And let me tell you, I had butterflies for the first year because I went, okay, I don't know any of these people. What if the coaching doesn't work? It always does.
Yes.
So I've gotten through that. So they get a true sense of me. They get a true sense of what coaching is. And another critical part of every workshop, and this is being trained as a coach, in the most supportive way, I call people out on their language, and they love it. And when I say language, I mean qualifying, minimizing, hedgy, waffling, words like hoping, kinda,
yes.
sorta, I think, I guess. And can I tell you, that probably makes more impact than anything, right? They're not even aware that they say these words, and I actually keep interrupting them. No kinda, literally.
Yes.
To drive it home.
Yeah. So before we open it to questions, I want to just picture this. They've picked a title and you're going in person to a workshop.
Yeah.
And then you walk into the room and the title is something. There are 100 people there.
Yeah.
How do you start and what do you do?
Well, I always have butterflies, even still have butterflies, less, but there's still butterflies there. Whoever the person is, my contact will, welcome everybody. I tell them, you don't have to go through all my credits. Just say, here's Jim. He's done a lot for the entertainment world. So the best thing is to throw it to me.
Yeah.
And then I literally just talk about myself for about 90 minutes. And no, not kidding. I'm kidding. So, and yes, I do use a lot of humor, Harry,
Yes.
absolutely right. And
You're
then
funny.
depending upon the size of the group, just like I did at Identity House, I'll do an opening go around where people share who they are. And I immediately start with the language, because when they talk about themselves, that gives me the opportunity to say, okay, hold on a second. You just told me nothing about who you work for. You said you're a writer producer, you work for HBO, TBS, and Lifetime. What did you do? You need to be specific. So right away, I'm coaching them on their language, how to pitch themselves. Now, if it's 100 people, I'm not going to go through 100 individuals. So what I'll do is, okay, let's do 15 people, right? Just to
Okay.
get things started. And for me, it's getting interactive. And I've got a very simple format besides the opening go around, the closing go around. For each topic, I will ask 3 questions. So let's say it's power networking.
Yes.
I'll throw out the very simple question. All right, group, what's networking? So we get a definition from them, not from me lecturing. And then I'll distinguish words that are networking and words that really are not powerful networking. So it's selling. Well, we get that the end result is selling. Your energy, your interaction is not selling. The selling is very one directional. It's not mutual, right? So right away I get a list. And by the way, I love giant whiteboards, and I write down very powerful words. So all of a sudden I'll get a definition of networking. And let me tell you, when you write things down, the participants go, oh my God, right? So all of a sudden they have a definition of networking. My second question, what gets in your way of being a powerful networker? And then we get into fear and rejection and I'm not good enough. I mean, let me tell you, there's always a point in the workshop where I go, okay, here's the therapy section. And they love it, right? And the third thing is, okay, what do you need to change or reframe from those blocks to being a powerful networker? And that's it. And let me tell you, 3 questions like that, 90 minutes, easy.
So this is the way in which every workshop is different because you bring something to it, and everyone is different, but they're all the same in that they follow, you have confidence that this thing works no matter what the topic is.
Doesn't matter.
It's the 3 questions.
That's
You
it.
just, that's it.
Just like almost like Passover, except I don't have 4. I've got 3. Yeah, I need that structure, yet it
Yes.
gives a lot of interaction. I love the challenge of not knowing who's there, what's gonna happen, and I feed off of the interactivity. For me,
Yes.
that works really well. And then call me crazy. I offer everybody a complimentary 30-minute coaching session. And I've had one workshop over the summer where I had 242 women. And I gave everybody a complimentary coaching session. Call me crazy.
Yeah.
I do a lot of complimentaries that don't go anywhere. And there are a lot of
Okay.
times I feel incredibly frustrated. And I go, all right, Jim, be of service, be of service, be of
Yes.
service. It's, and I don't find, I get a flood of people wanting the complimentaries. Maybe 5 or 10 people from a workshop,
Okay.
and even then I can spread it out.
Well, I think we all can tell from the way you have presented this that you have a spirit of generosity about you, and it's very attractive. And I can see where people would just see you do this, and we all find ourselves in similar situations. And I could say, wow, he knows what that is, getting stuck. I'm going to have a talk with him. I'll get a free session and see what happens. And you've really outlined it very clearly about, especially about, you have to do a lot of what we call baby steps or footwork to make these contacts with people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are times where I've waited or nurtured that relationship for a year
Yeah.
before I got my first workshop. Yep.
So you're very patient, and you have a big perspective about, you know, it's not the end of this is not going to be next month. What you're doing today is going to bear fruit in 6 months or a year from now.
Yes.
You might never
Absolutely.
know that. And I'm not sure I can manage this question thing. I know that there's a chat room, and I could look at questions if you have them in the chat room. Or
Or you
why
know
don't you
what?
just
If
unmute
you
your,
want to, just simply raise your hand and
yeah.
I'll call on you, or just just throw them out at me and
Yeah, Jim's going to
I'll
call
take
on you, so don't be shy. Raise your hand if you
Oh,
want
the
to.
other thing is, if there's not enough interactivity, I call on people in and
Good.
they actually really appreciate it because
Yes,
it draws them in, and there's always something on their minds.
we've all been warned. So, who wants to start it off?
I'll go.
Yes, go, Bernie.
So, Jim, you said you use a whiteboard. Now, I know you did that live, and you do use a whiteboard when you're doing it on Zoom.
No, I know there are all kinds of things. It's way too complicated for me. It would drive me nuts. It's enough to look at, sometimes 24. They call them tiles or boxes. Sometimes it's 42, and I need to keep the focus on the group. I don't look at the chat. I have my whoever is presenting it with me. That individual will watch the chat. If there's questions or comments, usually it's a she, will say, Jim, we've got a question in the chat room. I actually ask people, depending upon if it's one screen, just like you are, physically raise your hand, or you can go to the participants window. There's a raised hand button, the blue one, and it'll come up on the right side. That's easy for me to look at. I don't do screen shares if I could avoid it. I don't do breakout rooms if I could avoid it. I know they're very powerful. I don't use them yet because I want everybody to be part of a cohesive community. So maybe, Bernie, at some point I'll figure it out, but I'm figuring, you know what, this is plenty for me right now.
Well, this is what I'm trying to understand. You said that writing things down on the whiteboard was really impactful for the participants.
It is.
So, and on Zoom, you don't do that.
Does anybody know, is there a whiteboard feature on Zoom? There probably is. Is it like a screen share where you write it down and they see it? And yeah, I need to see the people. I need to have, that's where my energy comes from.
Right.
I'm looking at people who hasn't talked yet. I'm looking at who's leaning forward that wants to say something. And I got to tell you, oh, by the way, my Zoom workshops are 90 minutes. My in-person workshops were 2 hours. After 90 minutes, I'm fried. And yeah, I'm exhausted after a Zoom workshop. I mean, it's a good exhaustion, but I'm exhausted. So for me anyway, yes, it is powerful to write them down. It would overwhelm me to just do all this stuff and
Okay.
But it is
Well,
powerful.
I will quickly share. There's a friend of mine. She does a lot of online workshops, and she actually uses a whiteboard right behind her, and she's writing on it. So, just wanted to throw that out there in case people.
Whatever works for Again, everything this is how I do it. This is all suggestion. I like to stay put. I don't want to reach. I don't want to do anything. It's enough for me to notice, observe, call on people. I'm telling you, it takes incredible focus, right? Because I'm watching people, if they're even about to raise a hand, I'll call on them. And even if they're not raising their hand, I call on them, right? I tie people together. You've got this to this. I'm remembering what somebody said 30 minutes ago. And that, for me, that takes all my brain power.
Good, thank you. Who else has a question?
See you, Gary.
Go, Gary, go. Oh, Gary's leaving. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Alan.
You had those amazing titles you threw out. How did you generate those ideas?
I would ask people, you know, what would be the ideal workshop for you? What is utmost on your mind? So I would do that. I would hear workshop concepts, topics come from a workshop itself. I would read something. It when you're tuned in, they appear. They appear. I did a workshop for I think it was NYU. I do a lot for NYU, and they work with a financial services partner, and it was all about talking to your parents about your elderly parents about their finances. I said, oh, I could do that. You know, it's communication. And I said, okay, now, you know, that's pretty limited. How can I expand it? I said, well, wait a minute. That's really a tough talk. It's a difficult talk. Whoa, that's a topic. Tough talk's made easy. So how can I expand it and make it more relevant to a wider audience?
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Or I would read, you know, all my self-helpy books and, ooh, that's a good topic. That's a good topic, right? Or go to webinars, and my ears are tuned into new workshops, because I know that's the way to communicate to prospective sponsors, is to throw those workshops at them. And I'm always, you know, wanting new ones and new ones and new ones.
Thank you. Cool.
Sure. Go,
Yay.
Chris.
Chris.
Hey Jim, thank you for your workshop tonight. I've loved hearing what you've been delivering so far, and obviously you're going to be delivering even a full workshop for us in January, which is brilliant. One thing that's going through my mind, because your workshop sounds so exciting in terms of the things that you deliver, what's been your most memorable workshop of all the things that you've been doing?
Well, I'll remember the most challenging one was June 1st. I was doing a workshop for Out Professionals, which is a very large networking group here in New York, probably the largest. And it was Black Lives Matters, and I had helicopters and sirens and protests. And I'm going, how do I stay grounded and centered? And I did. I got through the workshop. So it showed me that the power of concentration and focus. And in my business, you know, the show must go on. So that was definitely my most challenging. I'm not saying it's the most memorable in a good way. They all are very memorable. I'm always surprised about, you know, first of all, how vulnerable people get on my calls. I love tears. And oh, by the way, unlike what you're doing, recording, my workshops are not recorded. And I make that a requirement to keep it a safe space. Again, my background is Identity House. How do you keep something safe? Confidentiality. And since most of the participants are women, and let me tell you, there's something very powerful when, you know, a group of women get together and in a safe environment and they see each other really sharing, it gets very vulnerable and tears flow. And I personally love when that happens. I'm very touched by it. So they're all very memorable because they're very, very different and unpredictable. And that's what gets me excited about them.
That sounds great. Thanks, Jim.
Hey, Jim, this is Tom.
Yeah, Tom.
I really like the concept that you don't prepare, and I love the concept that you actually have 3 questions that you toss out about a topic, and that you start with a definition, and then you pointedly start to make distinctions. So my question is this: as you play the room and as you make the distinctions, do you find that you're being drawn to the direction that the audience wants to go in, or do you have a really strong sense of where you want to take the distinctions themselves?
Well, it's actually both, because they're giving me the scenarios, they're giving me where, as I think Harry said, where they're stuck or what their challenges are. So they provide, all the material that clients do in coaching, and the distinctions, they come up in the moment. I don't plan them. That's why, being very tuned into people's language, first of all, it tells you exactly where they're coming from. So I make the distinctions pretty much, not pretty much, on the spot. It's for me, it's very much improv. Getting them to define what networking is. They throw all these words out, and it's actually quite easy to say, yes, networking is building relationships, right? Networking is coming from a place of curiosity and a sense of openness, right? And it's not about what can I get, I may make an analogy like, it's dating, not going to bed right away, right? Like, people love the dating analogy. Actually, it works really well. So it's really, for me, it's about self-trust and being present and creating a structure that really works for me. I'm very, very comfortable. I'm very relaxed in workshops. I know what I'm doing. There are topics that I know about. Most of the workshops are in the entertainment field, although I would say a third are not. And it took me a while to, wait a minute, I'm doing a workshop for women in finance? I don't know anything about finance. And actually, I put that out at the very beginning. I said, all right, ladies, confession. I don't know anything about finance except how to balance my Quicken Loans. I'm an expert at coaching. And they go, yay. And I coach, every industry, because I do a lot for NYU, all the schools, which includes just about every industry, women in finance. I've done workshops up at West Point for officers, as well as and I love this, it was right before COVID. I did a workshop for their LGBT cadet group.
Oh,
Oy,
how was it?
Besides the fact that I was distracted beyond belief, it was beyond powerful. Jim, how did you get a workshop for the LGBT group at West Point?
How?
Okay. So I do workshops and coaching groups for an organization called Veterans in Media and Entertainment. Bingo! One of the founders, graduate of West Point. Jim, I want you to put you in touch with this officers group and this officers group. And then I found out one of them was talking about, oh yeah, there's an LGBT cadet group called Spectrum. Bingo! Right? Okay, it's on my radar. How do I get to them, right? So, part of what I'm very determined, I'm very dogged, it's been my nature, certainly fits my background as an agent, is not give up. So it does require, lots of time and effort. It's fun, it's just very enjoyable. So that was actually, there you go, Chris, that was a very memorable group to see cadets in uniform, which drove me crazy. Even the lesbians in uniform were looking pretty hot.
Yes.
I had gay, lesbian, transgendered, bisexual in uniform. Oh, so I really thought I would need a bodyguard, but I got through it. And the officer in charge is this gorgeous, he picked me up at the train station. I went, I'm in trouble. Either that or we're getting married. I don't know what. So,
well, one of the things that I think is really,
I don't know what the question was, but go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I just wanted to round back and simply say that one of the things I really enjoy is that you elicit the wisdom of the room and you pitch it in a way that's both engaging and it's designed to make contact. It's not designed to sell an idea or sell a concept or sell a procedure or sell something else. It's designed to just simply make contact and pull the wisdom of the room into the discussion itself. And
Yeah,
that's, I think, the key to it.
And by the way, I don't do any merch or books. That's just me. So there's no merch or books around. And my only mention, my only sales pitch is actually at the very, very end. And I say this is my line. My gift to everybody is a complimentary coaching session. Now, the only handout, I have two handouts. One is simply a one sheet, contact information, bio, the offer of the complimentary coaching session, and also a description of my course at SVA and how to register. It's a one sheet. I don't send it out. The contact does, right? That's it. If they want some follow-up, the only thing I'll do is what I call a tip sheet. Let's say it's on power networking. I'll write down 25 tips to be a powerful networker. And they love that. A tip sheet. Oh my God. So easy to get, easy to do. That's it. That's it. That's the only thing I'll do. And you know, I've struggled with that offer of a complimentary, and other coaches say, Jim, you know, they don't know what that means. It doesn't mean they really want coaching. You should frame it, you know, now this is for people that really want coaching. And you know what, that doesn't feel right for me, you know, especially since the organization is providing everything. I want to keep it simple. And who knows, people may, you know, do the complimentary and reach out 6 months later and go, which they have, all right, Jim, I'm ready, right? Or, you know what, I'm not, but you know what, I'm going to talk to my husband about coaching. So you never know where the clients are going to come from.
Okay, I want to make a point for everybody that I have coached a lot of people who want to lead group workshops. And the first thing that stops them is, I have to rent a place. The second thing that stops them is, how am I going to get people to come? And the third is, how am I going to get a space and make money out of that? You have blown away those three things. You don't have to find a space. You find them. They find your space. They give you a lunch. They get the people to come. So really, I think there's a great deal of wisdom in this, and I hope a lot of people who are on the call today will take advantage of your workshop at the conference in January. And I'd like to turn it back over to Chris now, so he can bring us home. And thank you, Jim. You know, there's one thing about you that comes out very strong, is that you believe in your own intuition. You seem very connected to it, and you trust it, and you make it look easy. And I just want to say that it's very, very attractive and powerful. Thank you so much for being with us. Yeah.
Sure.